anyone recognize this name? Anybody? Ed? This is actually someone that all of us heard of about 5 years ago, the Virginia Tech shooter.
Oh.
Second name I'd like to give you is Holly Adams. Does anyone recognize this name?
No.
Okay, hold on to this name. I'll leave her up here for a little bit and come back to her actually in my third point. Today I'll be talking to you about gun rights on campus. I'm credible because I'm a gun owner, I'm a student, I've actually lost somebody in a gun-related incident, and I'm very well versed as far as researching this topic. I'm a lot like you because, as some of you mentioned before, you are a little bit apprehensive about guns, and I'm sure all of us as students on a college campus have thought, will another Virginia Tech happen? Or will another Columbine happen? Or an NIU? The 3 points that I'll address today are some of the arguments against guns on campus, some of the Virginia gun laws, and lastly, Nova's policy on guns on campus and why that should change. There are two main, now that I've just previewed my speech, I'd like to delve into the first point, some of the arguments against gun ownership on campus. There are two main organizations that I looked at, the Jim Brady campaign and the National Gun Victims Action Council. Those two groups are based off of platforms that encourage gun control, especially here in the US. The Jim Brady campaign was actually founded on Jim Brady himself, who was actually a victim. He was shot during an attempt on Ronald Reagan's life back in the 80s. On the National Gun Victims Action Council website, they stated that gun laws are being weakened across the US, and guns will be coming to your neighborhood, concealed or openly carried by virtually everyone. Whether or not you agree with that, another story. Also, shortly after a decision was made to not pass a law on Virginia Tech's campus that would have allowed students to conceal carry on campus, the vice president of the university, Larry Hinkler, said, "I'm sure the university community is appreciative of the General Assembly's actions because this will help both parents, students, faculty, and visitors feel safe on our campus." Emphasis on feeling safe.
Yeah.
Now that we've discussed some of the arguments against guns on campus, let's look into some of the Virginia gun laws. Just by a show of hands, how many of you know some places in the Commonwealth of Virginia where you cannot carry a firearm? Okay, Mike, what's one?
School.
Schools. Okay, so a K-12 establishment for either public, private, or religious education, you're not allowed to carry a firearm. That's per Virginia Code 18.2-308.1. You're not allowed to carry a firearm at schools or on school buses. Any other ideas on where you cannot carry? Yes? Courthouses, absolutely.
Federal buildings?
Federal buildings, yes.
Bar, where alcohol served, is that?
Don't know
Kind of a
about that.
gray area. It depends on the owner, actually.
Oh, okay, wow.
Any other ideas? Also, many of us probably wouldn't think about this, but in airports.
Huh. Oh, of course.
That's, again, Virginia Code 18.2-287.01, we're not allowed to carry in airports. Now, I've very briefly discussed a few gun laws here in Virginia. I'll go ahead and discuss our third point, what Nova's policy is and why that should change. For students, and I emphasize students, at Nova, bringing firearms and dangerous weapons is prohibited on this campus. Now, my good friend Ed actually had contacted the campus chief of police and found out that non-students are actually allowed to openly carry or conceal carry on campus, which brings up kind of an interesting conundrum to where, okay, if non-students are allowed to open carry or conceal carry on campus, they very well could make their way into a classroom like this. Which kind of leads me into a story about one of the mothers of a Virginia Tech victim. Her name was Holly Adams. Okay, so very briefly, Holly Adams actually brought up on the 5th anniversary of her daughter's death that those who were in support of gun control and not allowing guns on campus assumed that they spoke for all of Virginia Tech's parents and students and faculty. Not her though. She actually stated that she would give anything if someone would have been able to protect her daughter and conceal carry on campus. Would those parents be grateful? Probably. I know I personally as a parent would be grateful if that were to happen. So now that we've discussed 3 points, arguments against guns on campus, Virginia gun laws, and Nova's policy, and why that should change, I'd like to again leave you with the name Holly Adams. Remember her points, and that's all I have for you.
Okay, great.